Well, Jessup, are you a tooth fairy?
You don't have to answer that. I'll answer the question. You want answers?
I want the tooth! You can't handle the tooth!
Son, we live in a world that has kids, and those kids have loose teeth that have to be dealt with. And who's gonna do that? You? You, Lieutenant Weinberg? You weep for your incisors and you curse the fairies. You have that luxury. You have the luxury of not knowing what I know, that the loss of your teeth, while tragic, probably made room for more teeth. I have neither the time nor the inclination to explain myself to a man who rises and sleeps on a pillow covering the very same money that I provide and then questions the manner in which I provide it. I would rather you just said thank you and went on your way. Otherwise, I suggest you grow some wings and you take the teeth. Either way, I don't give a dang what you think you're entitled to.
Are you a tooth fairy?
I did the job.
Are you a tooth fairy?
You're granny farting right, I am. Here's the review. What's up and welcome back to Interpreting the Stars, where today I'm reviewing one of The Rock's earlier family-centered films, and this one's called Tooth Fairy. Truth be told, the reason why I'm reviewing this movie now is because it has become relevant at my house. My 5-year-old son has just discovered his first pair of loose teeth, and we watched this movie to prepare him for when the Tooth Fairy visits him. Personally, I had seen the movie a few times, nothing too crazy, but I definitely remembered a lot of what happens in the film, which I low-key think is actually pretty funny and endearing. Tooth Fairy, of course, stars Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson as Derek Thompson, a professional hockey player that has the nickname of Tooth Fairy, but he's not exactly in his prime anymore, you know? He's a little bit older now, he's a little bit of a gimmick player, known only as the guy that hits people so hard their teeth fall out, but as a hockey player, he hasn't scored in years. And so all these newer, younger, better hockey players start showing up, and let's just say that his ego is put on the line, and this is kind of where he gains his major character flaw throughout the film. He turns into this dream killer of sorts. Every time he meets a young person who declares what they want to do in the future, he kills their dreams by telling them it's impossible. Sorry, kid, you'll never be a famous hockey player like me. Sorry, buddy, you'll never be a rock star, so set your expectations lower, and then you'll be much happier. This, of course, makes kids cry left and right, and the last string is when he tells his girlfriend's daughter, who had just lost her tooth, that the Tooth Fairy doesn't exist. Hearing this in Fairyland, the Tooth Fairies summon him and force him to do Tooth Fairy duty for 2 weeks to learn what exactly he did and why that's so bad. Before I get a lot of hate for liking this movie, I want to first start off by saying that I fully understand how tacky and silly that it is. But one of the greatest things about the movie is that it's tongue-in-cheek. It knows exactly what it is and how ridiculous the film's premise is. It knows precisely how bonkers it is for The Rock to wear a tutu, and that's ultimately what I think works for the movie, that it embraces itself and makes no unfound claim that it's this great thing. It just wanted to be silly, and so it was. Another really cool aspect of the film, at least for me, is that it feels like it belongs as kind of a spiritual successor to the 1994 Santa Claus movie with Tim Allen, since the premise is somewhat similar. You know, regular guy getting forced to partake in a mystical profession every now and then, plus the spirit or comedy in general felt similar. If they wanted to, at the time, they could have easily made a crossover film, but let's talk about some negatives instead, because obviously the movie is not perfect. I'm not entirely sure what I'd say here other than the fact that it's maybe a bit too juvenile. Like, Dwayne Johnson's character is far too petty than I think a normal adult would be. He specifically kills the dreams of kids over and over and over again, and when he's asked why, he simply says, "I had a bad day." And I'm sorry, that's not exactly what an adult would say. That's kind of what a kid would say, and obviously anything humor-related is definitely geared towards kids in the age range that are losing teeth, like my kid. And that's true, my kid laughed his butt off and then some. I chuckled here and there, but it probably isn't as good as it once was. Take it that way. Let's go ahead and break down my final score. From an unbiased technical perspective, I think that the movie was fair. It wasn't anything groundbreaking or crazy or anything. A lot of the visuals involve purposefully cheap costume design, and none of the cinematography is worth writing home about, but none of it is terrible either. This score is 74%. My bias score is slightly higher at 76% because it's still a fun movie, but probably more so if you're younger. Averaging out the two scores together, we come to the final rating of 75%, or a C letter grade. This, of course, is a very, very average score when it comes down to my reviews. I've seen better, obviously, but I don't mind watching this one. It's an interesting earlier look at The Rock's career back when he had hair. Anyways, guys, have you seen Tooth Fairy? And if you have, let me know your thoughts on it in the comment section down below. And as for YouTube, you guys know what to do. Hit that like, subscribe button, and bell to be notified when I come out with my next review. And until then, peace out.
Dave examines movies we just watch for fun. Davey is the expert. He is the #1 critic that I go to when I need a movie pick. Thanks for joining up with us.